Hey, my beauties, a pleasant afternoon to everyone, my wonderful people. So, I'm sure some people may know, I'm not sure if the masses know already, that our Prime Minister is the first Prime Minister in Jamaica. We're talking now to ever be, how would you call it, conferred, commissioned. Honestly, I don't even know the correct terminology. But he successfully passed his dissertation. So he is now to be called Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. I don't know, or you may be able to, is it the most honorable doctor or doctor the most honorable? I think your qualifications as when you have your doctorate supersedes the other. Is it something like that, unless you're a pastor? Whichever way. So it's either the most honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, or Dr. the Honorable, I think it's Dr. the Honorable, most honorable, sorry, Andrew Holness. So your Prime Minister, Holness has earned a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Law and Policy. He pursued the studies at Northeastern University in Boston. And they said he mentioned his doctoral studies in speech at the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship Awards on August 30, I guess, of this year. He told Nationwide News that he started the studies online just after COVID had hit. He completed his thesis on the impact of U.S. gun laws on violence in Jamaican society. His thesis also detailed factors which have led to violence over the years in society, including loose gun laws and active participation. So he is the first Jamaican Prime Minister, as I had mentioned when I prefaced this video, to earn a doctorate. He calls it a lifelong achievement. It certainly is, for some people it's like self-actualization. And he's set to graduate in June of next year. All right, so I should say congratulations are certainly in order to our Prime Minister. He has achieved 2 feats. One, the youngest Prime Minister that Jamaica has ever seen. And 2, the first Prime Minister to hold a PhD or doctorate. So congratulations to our Prime Minister in successfully completing his dissertation. I certainly wish him all the best in all of his good and godly endeavors, once they're good and godly, or godly and good. Certainly if it is godly, it has to be good, but good doesn't necessarily means godly, for those who may want to understand that. I'm very, very, very much impressed on the fact that it was on the U.S. gun laws and on violence in Jamaican society, and talking about loose gun laws, and active participation, which then therefore suggests to me that he would now be an asset in assisting the Minister of National Security in the reduction of crime, the mitigation of crime and violence in our country as it relates to gun-related issues, because crime is vast and wide. Violence is vast and wide. So as it relates to the gun-related issues, we now, since he is now considered somebody with with high advanced studies. So I'm sure that he would have seen the pros and the cons, and what recommendations would be needed for our country, our region, that would be best suited to mitigate crime and violence, in particular as it relates to loose gun laws and the active participation of the deviants, who contributed to the moral decay of our country. So I'm sure that his expertise now, would be seen in our country. Well, we can only hope, since he has sought higher studies and successfully completed same. One of the things that I would also love to see is the public sector workers being remunerated. This has been almost like a lifelong cry over the years. The civil servants, they have been crying out, for a little while, a year and odd, in terms of whether it be passenger mileage being reinstated, the retroactive monies on the passenger mileage that should have been given for April 1, 2022 through to March 2023, overtime payment or the retroactive pay on salary and other remunerations that should be given. And I'm sure you have the doctors, the nurses, the teachers, their cries. We have the migration of our teachers in droves. It was said that in the last 2 years, I don't know if it was the 2 years of COVID, you had over 2,000 migrants, to the United States and other countries, because the teachers just cannot handle the treatment anymore. Financial abuse, I guess, in their eyes, social abuse in their eyes. Yes, not being paid well is considered abusive. It is just not good, because they're unable to buy a decent home, a decent car, to live a decent life. They're not necessarily expecting to live, as the Joneses. I can't say they're not expecting. Anyone living this life, if you have, great and high ambition and high standard, you would want to live like the Joneses, the Oprah Winfreys and so on, naturally. But the very least, you want to know that you have above the basic standard of living. Especially if you're well educated and you're well trained, and you have your expertise, you have your knowledge, you have your skill, you want to know that you're remunerated for the service that you're offering, because you're creating life transformation. That is one of the things that people don't understand, and that is why I have a pet peeve when people don't want to pay for service, because service creates life transformation in the lives of those being affected by it in a positive way. When you have a teacher that moves you from duns to bright, that's life transformation. Because now that person can become a multimillionaire and create waves for the country in which he or she lives in. So it's a pet peeve of mine when people don't want to pay for service. They may see more merit in paying for goods, but not necessarily for service. And the service may create opportunities, or an opportunity for them to be able to produce a plethora of solid and quality goods. Because service is key. Service is certainly key. So we do hope, as being a hopeful human being, and not being a pessimist, but being an optimist, but balancing optimism with reality, that the educational attainment that our Prime Minister has now been given, that it will not go to waste, that we will see transformation in our country. I heard him in a speech in fairly recent time. I don't know if it was at the same thing there that he was speaking at that scholarship, as it relates to scholarships, when he says that he wants to create national wealth, and then basically, and I'm paraphrasing, then individual wealth among the Jamaican populace. I'm not sure how possible that is, because the average person has not even moved from poverty, has not moved from indigence. So I'm not sure how the national wealth would be created. And one man is not an island. I know the saying is no man is an island, no man stands alone. I'm talking the singular man or the singular woman. It's a unified body that creates that change and transformation, that whole, that bliss, that wonder that never cease to amaze us, that resplendence, when it says, we can liken it onto the scripture when it says, we have not seen or heard what God can do, because he does above what we can ever ask, think, or possibly even imagine, and with that being said, we do hope that what the Prime Minister has garnered, that we will see the impact in a positive way in the Jamaican economy, not just the Jamaican economy, but the health status of our country, the economic, as I said, status of our country, the educational status of our country. He's now Dr. Andrew Holness, and we also would want to see it in the security aspect of our country. So we do hope that the attainment would not go to waste, but certainly congratulations are in order, sir. All the best to you and your family. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Have a great